Hey everyone, Bankrupt Radio, episode number 331. So, today is different. Today is an interview where I get interviewed again. So, a while ago, you might have seen on social media that I did an interview with the Dumbbells podcast. 3 lads based in London, great fellas. And the reason why I wanted to share this interview is because it was brilliant and it picked on a lot of topics that were very raw, were very much about decisions that I've made and experience that I've had in the industry with things that we've tried to develop in terms of products and services, and kind of my opinion on various aspects of change. And we delve into the fitness industry, and it was just a really nice interview, and I think it picked on some stuff that kind of opened up the conversation and things that I've talked about in the podcast, because these boys listen to the podcast, but in a different way, and we kind of just really rip open the topic. So that's why I really wanted to share this show with you today. So I'll stop blabbering. Here is the interview that I did with the Dumbbells podcast. If you've already listened to it because I shared it on social media, then apologies. But if you did enjoy it, then please share it with someone else, because that's pretty fucking awesome. Anyway, here's the interview.
You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
Just doing my workout. Tuesdays arms and back.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Welcome to the Dumbbells podcast with your hosts, Fred, Seb, and Matt.
Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Dumbbells. I'm joined by my 2 favourite bells in the world, Seb and Fred. How are we, chaps?
Very good. Very good.
We're in a different location today. We've moved. Yeah, and we actually have a very, very special guest. I know Fred is peeing his pants a little bit with this. I am a little bit as well. But Ben, thank you so much, Ben Coomer, for joining us on the show.
No wetting ourselves. I didn't get a nappy upon entry, so
you didn't bring your nappies with you today?
No, I didn't. No. I didn't get the memo.
Fred, I thought you were supposed to tell him about that.
Yeah, come on, mate. One job. It's not really episode. So Ben, nutritionist, coach, speaker, writer and owner of Body Type Nutrition, which is a nutrition education and coaching company, as well as awesome supplements. I mean, I could go on all day for everything else that you do as well, but in a nutshell, is that about right?
That's it, yeah. Food stuff,
Legend.
Talk about broccoli a bit, hydration,
Okay.
Teach some people.
A few things.
No one likes broccoli.
No,
that's why Joe Wicks has to do the kid thing, like, make chips.
Yeah.
That's why it has to be done.
That's quite a good impression, actually. So what we do, Ben, every time we get a guest on the show, we have these 6 quickfire questions. Essentially, it's just to break the ice and make you feel less awkward, mate. So we'll go for it first. Yeah, we'll jump straight in.
I will. So the best book you've read to date?
That is a brutally hard question, but first and foremost in my brain is a book by Jacko Willink and Leif Babin, Extreme Ownership. One of my favourite books of all time.
I haven't heard that.
Making a note of that.
It's a book all about like literally taking control of every aspect of your life. He wrote it from a leadership perspective to businessmen, but I try and instill it in every one of my clients to say, look, if you can take over ownership of every area of your life, you can have success in every area of your life.
Okay.
That's it.
Awesome. I'll look into that. Is it me next?
Yes, it is.
If you could interview one person on your podcast, who would it be?
The Rock.
Nice.
That's a great shout.
He's the most humble fitness dude in the world. Like,
he was on Graham Norton.
He was
last week.
And you see how humble he was. Like when the next guest came out, his full attention was on that guest. And there's not many celebrities that are like, they're not thinking about themselves the whole time.
It was quite funny seeing him sit next to Martin Freeman and Miss Moneypenny from the Bond films, and he's like 4 times the size. His shoulders are like out here, and he just dwarfs.
Well, that film he's in, was it Big Meets Bigger or something, or Rampage?
Rampage.
Yeah, and I love how he's up against these kind of monsters, and he's just like the biggest freaking human alive. It's incredible. But
and the next one for me, what is the biggest fitness myth that you've fallen for personally?
Carbs are evil.
Carbs are evil, yeah.
And they're not. They're so tasty.
Yeah. I mean, I like carbs.
Yeah, like all of them.
I mean, I'm a diabetic and I need them. If I'm struggling, I'll be in trouble without them.
So,
you and your life.
I'm not diabetic.
What's all your favourite carb? Mine's potato.
Potato. Ooh.
I'm going to go oats because they're so versatile. I love them.
That's such a fitness thing.
I love it.
Someone's got to say sweet potato.
Sweet potato.
That's another
I love sweet. I had sweet potato at lunch actually.
I like sourdough bread.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
dipped in egg with butter on it.
Yeah,
nice.
Shout.
Love it.
Soldiers.
Should we just sack this off and go?
On the similar topic, what's your biggest vice?
Beer, alcohol.
Yeah.
Love alcohol.
Yeah.
Love that.
And it's in my diet like a couple of times a week.
That's it.
I'll have a beer tonight when I'm trained. Like, I mean,
so you scheduled in like Wednesday night. I'll have a few beers tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that. I might start. No, to be honest, it's already there. I don't need to schedule it.
Well, just think about it. It's 9 o'clock at night. You're like, oh, got 300 calories left.
Yeah.
That's definitely
smart,
2 bottles.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Easy days.
Right. Would you rather get spear tackled by Manu Tuilagi or run over by Jonah Lomu?
Oh, run over by Joe Malomu.
Yeah.
Just hoping that maybe I roll over and he just doesn't stand on my family jewels.
That's it.
I feel like that Mike Cat.
Oh yeah. Just demolish the bloke.
I would quite like to say it though, like Manu Tuilagi, but to say Jonah Lomu ran over me.
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite cool story.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Good choice.
And the last one, Ben. What is the best podcast episode that you've listened to?
Wow.
I know that's a big one. He was
you should probably prep someone with that because how many podcast episodes have you all listened to?
A lot.
Quite a lot. Or is there one that stands out in particular?
Yeah, there is. Gary Vaynerchuk got interviewed by Chase Jarvis.
Okay.
And it's called Get Off Your Ass and Get Noticed. I don't know if it's on a podcast, but it's on a YouTube video and it's probably on a podcast.
Really?
And it's literally, it's the best bit of media I've ever consumed.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The video's called Get Off Your Ass and Get Noticed.
Right.
I loved it.
Take a note of that, Seb.
Gary Vee is insane.
I just bought his
great.
book.
I've got a couple of his.
Crushing It, is it?
Yeah. Crush It, but I haven't read it yet. But apparently it's. So I saw James Smith was like he read that book and then started up his online business. I was like,
I read Crush It and.
Is it good?
Started an online business. I mean,
Really?
that book's like, what, 10 years old now?
Really?
Wow.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
I mean, that was part of a series of events, but that was a book I read at the time. It's like, start a blog. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll start a blog.
That's it.
Oh, really?
Write about fitness.
Yeah.
Look
where you are now.
Doing all right.
I love it. Right, awesome, nice and quick. So this is where we basically the floor is yours. We give you the mic. We want to know about your your backgrounds. Go into as much detail as you like. How you've got to where you are today. Your struggles. And yeah, just the floor is yours. Go for it.
So I am in this industry because I used to be obese. That's it. I was a young guy. I was into acting. I'd acted my whole life, and then one day just looked at myself and I was like, man, I'm a state. Like, if I want to make a success out of my life, which every young actor does, I needed to sort it out. And it was that struggle of trying to find how to lose weight that got me really interested in nutrition. So I did all the classic things. I looked online, I started running, I started eating healthier, and I just didn't lose any weight. Got really disheartened. But then I had a reality check and flipped it on his head. I joined the gym. I was able to speak to a great trainer, and he recommended a book, How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. Ordered it off Amazon, read it from front to cover to back within a week, started lifting weights instead of running as much, and I lost 4 stone in 4 months. Wow. And I was like, wow.
How old are you at this stage?
I was 18, so just got fresh out of school.
Yeah.
And
so were you going for your drama school auditions then? Is that kind of one of the big reasons behind it?
Yeah, I was, auditioning for all the big places. Yeah. Is it RADA? God, I've forgotten now. Like RADA and all
Central,
places like,
I did that.
Yeah.
No, it's like...
And I just slowly lost the passion for acting because there was a massive fire in my belly. So trained to be a PT, massage therapist, nutritionist, worked in a studio for 9 months. And then I was young, got really itchy feet. I was like, not sure if this PT thing's for me. Went to uni, studied sports performance and coaching. And then while I was at uni, I studied higher qualification sports nutrition. And then in my second year, I was like, still not enjoying this PT thing as much as I could do. There was just a fire inside me saying you can do bigger and better things from an education perspective. And that was when like Facebook was then getting big. And I read a book, like we just talked about, Crush It. And I was like, why don't I teach people about nutrition on the internet? So I built a website, learned loads of failures, learned from that, built a second website, which is still around today, Body Type Nutrition. And I just moved and through lots of different exposures into kind of the teaching, more inspiring as many people as possible, and just left personal training behind. And I've just never looked back ever since. And I suppose I'm fortunate now that I'm I'm almost combining the media and acting thing with what I do by you know, doing public speaking and podcasts and stuff like that.
I think that's one of the big things with social media now. You never kind of lose that essence of performance, do you? Like, it's really nice. You've got that platform yourself, and if you can, like, I find with a lot of the best trainers and things that I've been to, like, they're essentially performers. If you can hold that floor like that, you know, there's nothing like going to. That's why you keep going back to similar studios, because the trainers are good. And it's interesting with that industry; they seem to cross paths quite a lot.
So this trainer you said you had sessions with, why was he so good? What made?
He just gave me a bit. He just made me think differently about it. I was running all the time, and he was like, "Maybe you want to lift some weights," and explain the benefits of weight training. And I was like, "Yeah, I want to be a jacked man." So I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'll lift some weights." And obviously, Paul Checkbook talked a lot about weight training and stability training. And things
was he
like
the first trainer you had?
Yeah, first ever trainer.
Okay.
It wasn't actually a personal trainer. He was fortunate that he did my gym induction.
Okay. Oh, I see.
It was literally just a great gym induction.
Yeah.
We know how bad they can be. You know, and like, I'll pick up on the comment you made about, like, people think I'm in the position that I'm in today as a result of my acting background. They're like, oh, you know how to present yourself. But you know, when you're at school or at uni and you get asked to make a presentation and they're like, right, you need to speak about this. And I would shake like a leaf because you're being judged about you as a character. And acting and being yourself and just performing and saying it is a completely different ballgame. So I had to learn how to, like, love myself, accept myself, you know, appreciate, like, even the sound of my voice. Like, how many people do we know? You listen to their voice on playback and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I sound like that.
Seb does that every week.
Don't blame you, mate.
I think you have a silky tone.
Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. It is quite silky.
That's made his day.
So that's something, because I've listened to a Jamie Alderton podcast about that as well, and he says, people always complimenting him on how confident he is in front of the camera and stuff like that. But then he goes, you should have seen me back in like 06, 05 when I first started. I could barely say 2 words without getting nervous and stuff. So is that something that you just worked on as soon as you started your PT or online nutrition business, or is that something that you were doing way before then?
Yeah, practiced. I think the biggest thing that helped is I'm a big thing on introspection or reflection on what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And there was a point in my life I actually got forced to do a talk. A great opportunity came up with UK Tennis. I finished uni. They were like, will you come and speak to all the kids and the parents? And I was like, whoa, that's pretty big deal. I've never really done this before. And I thought, well, hang on, let's think about it. Like, I know what I'm talking about. I know about food. I'm happy and I'm comfortable with myself. And I started to draw those dots of, like, what does it take to stand in front of an audience and speak about something you're passionate about? Well, 1, you've got to be passionate about it. 2, you've got to stay within your bounds of what you are good at. So I wouldn't start talking about gut health, for example, if I didn't know about it, because that would make me sweat because I don't know. And then in that environment, people struggle because you're being judged. So it's like people struggle to walk into a gym because they're like, oh, people are judging me, I'm fat and whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And I got to that point where I was like, do you know what? I don't actually care what you guys think, and I can't help you if, you know, I care what you think. So actually, I just joined those 2 things together, and it made me able to speak publicly very quickly. And don't get me wrong, the repetition thing helped. I mean, if you look at some of my early videos, it's like, whoa, cringe. But it was that, like, inner realization that I
think everyone goes through that without a doubt. Yeah, you've got to go through that kind of cringe phase. I haven't seen some of the first videos I ever did.
You're not up, but yeah.
I'm still not. Exactly. Bit rich. But yeah, I think it's so true. And you've got to. When people are starting off fresh, it's like you can't beat just like trying until you kind of finally accept the fact that, you know, you need to work on it. So it's like anything really.
I think like a large part of what people get scared of as well is when they do videos. Certainly, what's gone through my mind in the past is that worried that someone's going to criticise you for what you say. So if you put like content out, especially as a fitness professional, someone's going to disagree with you or like troll you or something like that. Is that something that have you ever had to deal with? Like, what's it called? Imposter theory or something like that?
Imposter syndrome. No. I started off in the fitness game probably, 7 years ago online. So, there wasn't as much going on.
Okay.
It's definitely huge now, like the amount of podcasts there are and everything is colossal. I think the perspective that I have is that I know who I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help people that are struggling with their weight, struggling with their mindset, personal trainers that can't make a break, they're not really financially comfortable, all those things. So I focus on those people, and I think people get paralyzed because they're focusing on what people above them are doing.
Definitely.
So I focus on those people. It's like, if you're going to watch, like, let's just say you respect me for hypothesis sake. You look at me online and you're like, oh, what if Ben sees that video? The thing is, I'm not watching your videos. I'm not critiquing it, because everything works in a chain of hierarchy in life. It's programmed into our just us as people. So I'm following people that can help me. You guys are following people that can help you, and your fans and followers are following you because you can help them. I think as soon as you come at peace with that, you're like, it doesn't matter if Ben
definitely. I remember I did a seminar with Phil Learning about 2 years ago, and one of the things he said, that you're doing not just yourself, but the people around you that you can help a disservice if you're not putting out content. But I remember, like, when I first started in the industry, he's like, oh God, what if this PT down the road thinks that what the exercises I'm doing are wrong and everything like that. But it's just essentially, you are doing people a disservice if you don't put your content out. If it is good enough and there's something you can teach somebody, then just get it out there.
Yeah, like one thing I've changed is I used to try and, like, with my social media, like my Instagram post, I used to try and make it sound really clever. And then you just realise that most people...
You're like Googling some of the stuff.
Yeah, exactly, And then, like, even, like, there's times where you see, like CrossFit. I mean, I'm a big fan of CrossFit, but, like, I know they were the worst for, like, loads of abbreviations and loads of, like, initialisms, and you're just like, what the hell does that stand for? Like, I only found out a couple of weeks ago what ham meant.
It's just something that everyone.
Dude, I struggled with AMRAP.
I was in the gym the other day, and PT was saying to his client, you're going to work your posterior chain next. Do you know what your posterior chain is? The guy was just like, what? I was like, do you know, I used to do that. Probably didn't say that, but like 3-4 years ago. That was
like when you do your
PT conference.
So when you're fresh out of PT conference, you got all these words,
and you have
you want to use
multi-planar, you're moving this axis.
That's it.
I don't care.
But then that's one thing I've learned massively. It's like, right, I'm now literally going to strip this way back, and basically, Derek, what you said, know your target audience, know who you're trying to help. I think because that fear, especially with us now, we know a lot of good S&C coaches out there, and as great as it's good to have those connections, there is that fear of, are they going to judge me for thinking like
one of our most appreciated episodes was one where we talked about fear and how, just like with the book, what you nailed straight away was the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Good book.
And it was like, it's so true. We were just like, we don't care if we're going to be judged, or if we don't care if there's always going to be, that's that phrase. Even if you rescue someone from a burning building, there'll always going to be someone who's going to, I don't know, say that you're a CUNT. No matter what you do in life, there's always going to be people out there who are going to disagree with something or hate you or whatever. So we just, like, it was the same with starting this podcast. We just thought, sod it, like, we want to try and help others, so we're just we're going to start it.
It's just keeping it relatable, isn't it?
Exactly.
I read sort of How to Invent and Influence People, like, shortly after that. And I just think that's one of the books that kind of had a big, sort of a profound effect on me. Because if you can keep it relatable to people, like we always say, personal training is personal before it's training. If you can nail that aspect of it, you're always onto a winner.
Spot on. Mate, one thing I wanted to come on to was supplements and your brands. So Awesome Supplements. Why did you start it, and kind of what exactly is it?
So everything I've done in fitness has always been as a result of a frustration. Okay. So I set up the BTNacademy because I thought nutrition training in the fitness industry was inadequate, wasn't good enough, it wasn't engaging enough as well. Like, no one learns that effectively from being sent a textbook, learning it and taking a test. That doesn't make you a practitioner and a specialist. So that was one reason I looked at that. And it was about 3 years ago, I was working with a supplement company, and I was being asked to promote things I just didn't believe in. Like, can you make a post about CLA? And I'm like, no, I can't. like, do you even know what it does? Oh, well, it sells really well. And I'm like, well, that's not really a good reason to promote it. And this kind of relationship started to sour, and I thought, well, I've got two options here. I can align myself with another supplement company, which I felt was tough because everyone was kind of selling some stuff that didn't work, just because it was part of the course of fitness, fat burners, green tea extract, all that stuff.
Carb blockers.
Exactly.
Carb blockers don't work.
Just updating your stock, haven't you?
Yeah, but Protein World love us.
Yeah, I remember when we first mentioned that we were like Schmo World, and then we were just like, solid, we're just going to say it, yeah.
And then I just thought, I talked to my team and I was like we're all really frustrated. Shall we start a supplement brand? And me being naive, I was like, yeah, let's start a supplement brand. I was like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then I was, staring down the barrel of, 120k investment to, just even start and stuff. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. We'll find a way. And I just tried to come at it from the fact that I want to re-educate people on supplementation. Like, yes, we sell a product, but there's a journey there. And I think we're doing it in an ethical way. I think we're doing the right thing. And also, like anyone, there's nothing worse than getting 2.2 kilos through the post and it tasting like ass.
Yeah.
So it was taste. It was like trying to say, why can't this taste good?
Yeah.
No, fair play. I mean, again, going back to that subtle art of not giving a fuck, there's a really good quote in that where he talks about the owner of Starbucks and how he actually started.
Have you read his books, The Owner of Starbucks?
No, I haven't.
Howard Schultz.
Yeah, Howard
great
Schultz.
books.
Because he actually founded the company because his dad worked his whole life and didn't have medical insurance.
Well, his dad got injured, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he basically said, right, I'm going to give my staff medical insurance, like all my employees. So the moral of the story is that his values were there, and then essentially the profit comes as a byproduct. So that sort of sounds what you're saying to me. Like there's a lot of people flogging a lot of shit out there, and you just wanted to create something that could actually benefit people.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the supplement game, because I've seen comments online when I first started to do it, and people were like, "Oh, Ben Cooper's sold out. He's selling supplements." And I'm like, let me give you a quick little lesson about business. I've currently invested about 350,000 into starting that business. If I wanted to make money, I'd do seminars, I'd do coaching, I'd do a service-based business that you can scale because you've got no overheads. Like a product line business is a colossal investment. Don't get me wrong, I might have a jumbo jet in 5 years' time and it might all go great. But it's a really, really, really hard business, and it's highly competitive, right?
Such a saturated
really, really saturated.
I've just been out Thursday, Friday last week. I was at FIBO, and it shocked me, the supplement part of the show, the amount of brands that were there or companies. And I remember looking on the back of some of the packets, and it's just full of crap, absolute crap. And there are these huge guys like bodybuilders promoting it who have probably barely even tried the stuff, and they just be like, rope you in because you'll help sell it, or these sort of vibrant packaging, like just trying to entice you in, and it's just utter crap. And by the sounds of it, your stuff, what you produce is just simple, it's clean, it is what it does what it says on the tin. It's very, very simple in that effect. So that's something that I feel, supplement wise, it's more of like people trying to sell you something because of the image on the packet, or how many times we walked into a Holland & Barrett and you see a supplement brand with someone ripped on the front of it, and it's just like it's not
what we've
reality.
spoken about loads of times before on the podcast is people love a quick fix. This is where the supplement industry can fit in. If people are just out there to make big money from it, they go, you look at some BCAAs thing, and it's like, you think it's like steroids in a jar. It'd be like, build 30% more muscle and stuff. And it's just like, people read it and go, great, sweet. I want to gain an extra 20 kilos of muscle in 8 weeks. That sounds awesome. But it's nice to hear that, your values are in check.
I was at a Bournemouth beach rugby event last summer, and my dad lived close, so I said, Dad, I'm down, do you want to come and say hello? Me and my brother took awesome supplements down there because we were supporting the Flare Bears competing at that event. And just during the day, I was chatting through people and stuff, and my dad at like lunchtime came over to me and he goes, "Aren't you here to sell supplements?" I was like, "Well, I kind of am, but everyone I spoke to is absolutely clueless." And he was like, "How are you going to make money?" I was like, "Well, hopefully I'll make some money in the future." But like, my point is, like, my dad was really confused that everyone that I came to, I was like, "Right, are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Are you drinking well? Like, well, don't even think about whey protein. Like, get your breakfast in order, train effectively." I'll be the first person to say to people, you don't need a supplement. You need to get the basics right. That's it.
Sleep and water is nice.
Do yourself a disservice, basically.
Tying in nicely to that, one thing I really wanted to, I actually re-listened to the episode today, was huge respect for your worst year or the toughest year you've ever had, or you released which was talking about 2017, and a large part of that is, I imagine, to do with the whole supplement. And how you said, you know, there was times, for people that haven't listened to it, there was times where you needed 10 grand, 20 grand in 20 days, your rock, essentially, in your business, I don't know if it's your partner, but who you identified as your rock on the 3rd of Jan, literally opening up 2017, said they wanted to leave. And you went through, you said it was September, wasn't it? That it was finally getting your head above water.
Yep.
Talk to us more about that, like about how, you know, you obviously had those times where you were in a really dark place, how you psychologically recovered from it, how you managed to keep getting up, and talk to us more about that, basically.
Yeah. So I got into what I do now purely through the passion of trying to help others.
Sure.
And I think sometimes it's quite nice to be kind of ignorant to some of the things and the decisions that you're making. And you know, when things were going wrong and, you know, there was money that we had to find, otherwise, you know, people wouldn't get paid, staff, you know, would go without bread and water sort of thing. You have to just sit there and think, why am I doing this? It's like going to the gym. It's like a weight loss battle. It's like, why am I here? And I'm here to create change. And if I genuinely believe that I'm doing the right thing, then somehow it will work out. And I think back to all my previous failures. When, you know, my previous failures might be smaller, but something happened, like there's someone that helped out, or, you know, there was an opportunity that came in, or we just found a way to, you know, solve the problem. And I think not enough people kind of go back in the journey and think, well, actually, I can do that. We've been there before. This problem's a bit bigger. We'll find a way. Do I know how to lose 10 pounds? Well, I've lost 10 pounds before, so yeah, I do know how to lose 10 pounds. So let's keep traipsing forward. I think the secret to that is always identifying with people that have been there before you. And I've spent my whole young business career listening to like the stories of, you know, people that we look up to, Richard Branson, the Dragons. You know, if we looked at how many times The Rock has been to an audition and failed and not got the part, like we just don't hear about that kind of stuff. So I think I've found comfort in the fact that everyone has been through worse pain than I have. Like, I might be staring down the barrel of having to find 20 grand, but someone else is staring down the barrel of having to find 200 million in a deal, and they've done it. So I think that was what kept me going.
You know what? Like, I actually had that myself when listening to yours, because it was right on New Year's that you released it. And I remember I unexpectedly had 5 clients just drop out of nowhere, and it'd been Christmas time. It'd been a pretty expensive time of year. Booked a ski trip. Like, there was a lot of outgoings, basically. And then all of a sudden I was short about 1,500 quid that I wasn't expecting. And I was like, oh, shit, I haven't had this feeling in a while, backwards against the wall. And I was getting just really like pissed off about it more than anything. And then I actually listened to that when I was seeing my girlfriend in Yeovil. And I was like, it really just put things into perspective. I was like, fuck. I haven't got it bad as you, basically.
But we need those reality checks.
Massively.
Like, you get complacent, and there was things that I got complacent on. I was like, I need to fix that. I can't.
No, and that was the same for
that's
me.
it.
And one thing I found, just from my sort of experience, was that when the pressure gets put on, it forces you to work. And it's quite good. And even like now things are going really well, I'm happy to say. But having learnt that back then, I'm like, okay, don't let myself get complacent again.
You almost need it, though. You need
that gives you a level of accountability with it as well, I suppose.
100%.
You also find out how resourceful you are as a person, because no one really realises how resourceful they are.
Definitely.
They think quite laterally about a situation.
But I think what really hit home was the fact that you did an episode on it, and you told everyone about it. Because I think that's a huge thing, is to accept that you're in the shit, and then actually just tell everyone. Because I'm going to be completely honest. Up until that point, I thought you were doing like incredibly well. I thought you'd be like, I don't know,
driving here in a Bentley.
Honestly, that sounded funny. In a way. So to kind of hear that, you know, someone doing as well as you are still have, you know, the occasional struggles from time to time, it's quite nice, as you were saying, Seb, when you're in the shit. Like, everyone does go through those phases. Being honest about it.
There's no part of me that's interested in the money. Don't get me wrong, I want a comfortable life. I want to be able to buy a sports car and shit. But every time we bring more money into our business, we spend it on something. We spend it on writing a new book or a new supplement line, like a new product or anything. And, you know, in 10 years' time, I might be like, oh, okay, cool, we want to buy a house and we'll do something. But I do my job because I find it fun. It's like playing. Like, what can we create? What can we do? How can we provide? Let's run a big event. So
we need more of you in the industry, because it's like you're in it for the right reasons. There are so many people who become PTs or do work in the industry purely for financial reasons, rather than the whole purpose of you being in there is to help other people.
Maybe soon you find out you got the wrong industry if you're getting it for the money.
100%. It's like it's a story that's been told so many times, like quite a bit of a cliche, but like you see people who work in finance and make six figures and stuff, and they're just miserable as hell. I've just plucked finance out, but any job that you're just like, if you're one thing I've found, even just through building my small PT business, is that it's forced me to, since leaving Nuffield and being employed to being self-employed, it's forced me to think more of it as an entrepreneur. And actually, when you're out sort of fending for yourself, just like it's so much more fun. Like you're building something. And especially
it's so much more rewarding.
It is, And since us three, we haven't been doing this podcast thing for long, but it's like we haven't earned a penny from this yet, but we love doing it.
It's just amazing that we went to New York, us three, recently on an Active Man trip, and there was a girl out there who listened to the podcast, and just the words that she gave us and how we'd helped her through a really tough time. And like we came away from that, we like, that's the reason why we started it. Even if there's just one person out there that will help them.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, it was great.
So I'm just going to highlight something. One of the main reason I did that podcast is I genuinely felt dirty.
Really?
Not sharing that information. Because my podcast is so raw. I've talked about me going through counselling, about my dad, like everything. And I thought there's this one side of my life, which is like money and career, that I've not spoken about. And I just asked myself, why? Why haven't I spoken about it? Do I have is money this taboo topic? Why is it a taboo topic? It is, but it shouldn't be. It's like, I'll happily talk about how much I earn and what I do and all the things that I spend my money on. Like people say to me, because I talk about going on holiday quite a bit. And they're like, oh, you must have loads of money, you go on holiday quite a bit. And I'm like, not really, it's just how I choose to spend my money. Like I've got one pair of trainers, I've got a very average car, like I just go on holiday, it's what I like to spend my money on. And once I did that podcast, I felt so free, because there was a part of me that was like hiding stuff from the followers.
The thing is as well, is that with social media, you can very much portray an image of I'm smashing it, I'm making loads of money, and people would see that, but there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. Like Fred said, it's not that you are doing it intentionally, but you see you've got multiple businesses, and automatically your mind goes, he's doing well for himself. And so to hear that, it was nice to be like, oh, it's just refreshing to sort of hear.
It's just people by people, don't they? It's just very human to hear that.
And like even for us, like the podcast we've talked about when we've been the most vulnerable is the one that has got the best responses when we talk about our own insecurities and stuff. But one thing I really wanted to ask you was, with everything that happened in 2017 and everything you learned about that year, would you change it at all?
No. Obviously, I wouldn't like to have it to happen for as long. Because I kind of learned my lesson. I was like, oh, I'm still in the shit. This would be cool if it's so I'd like to check. You can go now.
The lesson now. I'm ready to be successful.
I wouldn't change it. Like I'm going to build a lot more. There's a lot that I want to do, and if I'm, right now we teach, for example, 400 trainers every year in nutrition. Well, what happens when we're coaching 1,000, 2,000? Like everything gets bigger, the risks get bigger. And I'm glad I learned this now, so the fall might not be as great when it does go south. But I think it's also made me a good leader to the people that are important to me. Like I've got a really tight knit team now. They've been through all the tough stuff with me. They've seen me suffer. There was a year where I put their salary first every time. I'd be the one that would, okay, there's not enough money. I can't pay myself this month. It's back to the savings sort of thing. So it's taught me an awful lot.
We asked that same question to this guest we had out in New York, this guy called Koss, who was in prison for, was it 7 years? Was for drug trafficking. And we asked him exactly the same thing. Be like, did you regret anything? And would you regret? Because he's now become like this this big PT out there who has this. He
does his workouts in a confined space like he was in jail. And he was exactly the same. He was like, no, because it's made me into who I am today. I think
it's a common question we've asked quite a few people, isn't it? It's like you talk to someone like Sophie Grace Holmes who has cystic fibrosis, and you know the struggle that she has to deal with every day, but it's given her the drive and stuff that has taken her career to where it is now. So, and you know, you hear it all the time with like stories. It's the hardship that builds the character that sort of makes who you are. And 2018 has been going well, because I remember you saying, I've got clarity now. I know what I want to do.
Yeah, I've realised that I need to up my environment to get to the place that I want to be. So I've changed a lot of my environment. You know, the people that I'm hanging around with and getting inspired by myself. Yeah. So yeah, 2018 is going well. It's positive. Like, good. You know, we're moving in the right direction.
You're doing a podcast with us three, so yeah,
made it.
And then one thing I wanted to touch on as well: how has the industry changed since you started in it, and what impact does social media do you think had? Do you think it's always a good thing? We talk about the good sides and the bad sides of social media. I'd love to sort of know your views on it.
Yeah, it's positive and negative, right?
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I like to talk about,
because it's still very new. It's a very new medium, and it's something we don't know a lot about yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very cool.
I talk a lot about people shaping their social media profiles, because whether we like it or not, social media is now a massive part of our environment. Like statistically, apparently, we're on our phones 2 hours a day. That's a lot of time. Subconscious programming, everything that you see on Instagram, for example, is it positive? Is it serving you? So I tell people, if you see something on social media and it angers you, or if it gives you an emotion that you don't want, unfollow that person. Remove yourself from that. So I think social media is an amazing gateway drug to get amazing information, get inspiration, but people have to have the confidence to move away from things that are no longer serving them. Yeah. And like, I'll happily say to someone, if you're listening to my podcast right now and you are inspired, the day I stop inspiring you or serving you, unfollow me. Yeah. And I'll be the first guy to give you a high five, because I've helped you, and I can only take you so far. Just like they might come onto your podcast and be like, "Yeah, I love this guy," and then they'll move on.
I remember, it's funny you say that, because I remember you said that. I started yours, and me and Fred did the same thing with the first. Yours was the first podcast I ever listened to when I was PT, like 3-4 years ago now. And I remember you saying that exact thing. Like, there will come to a point where I've taught you all that I can. Then there'll be a point that you move on after that. So funny. I can remember walking to a client in Brixton, listening to that like 4 years ago. And it's something that always resonated. Yeah. Like, always stuff.
I went
so
through a stage.
Essentially what I'm saying is I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. Ben, you made it.
How do we get them out?
But you go through phases. I remember I was the same with you. I probably went about 2-3 weeks, so I just listened to you non-stop. And then I went through a stage of listening to Jamie Alderton. Loved it as well. But then again, you kind of dip in and out of certain things. And it is, I think there was, you guys, what's the one, Renegades, what's it?
Renegade.
That was really good.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you just like, you listen to it at a certain point and then you kind of come back to it, and I think it's very important. As a big thing that we always say with us on here is how your environment can dictate who you are as a person. So, I often think if you're listening to podcasts for an hour, 2 hours a day, that's going to have an impact on you. So it's choosing who you listen to. It can, sometimes a day would be great to listen to you. Sometimes I want to listen to something completely irrelevant to do with fitness. So I know someone like Russell Brand or whatever, something that's going to add a little bit another dynamic to my life. So I think that who you surround yourself with and who you listen to is such a big thing.
He's one of my favourite people on social media, Russell Brand.
He's incredible.
Yeah. Do you listen to his podcast?
I've listened to some, but it's raw. Like you'll never listen to someone with a more colourful background.
It's so theatrical, honest. Isn't it? You just like, they're really good.
I've just started. It's incredible.
Him on the Joe Rogan show, the recent one is it's incredible.
Really?
Incredible.
He had Brian Cox on one of his podcasts recently, and it was insane.
It's hilarious.
To look up a lot of words after that.
But he's insanely intelligent.
Super.
So intelligent. Another big thing was we want to kind of know, do you have any daily routines or habits that you do without thinking about them?
I'll do them without thinking
it just happens
and now you
naturally.
want to think about it. How does that work? Thinking about myself. I learned from a very young age that I have to put myself first before I can help anyone. So like there was times when I was trying to serve other people last year and I was not in a great place, and I'd walk out of a seminar or finish a Facebook Live, and I was like, I wasn't my best self, and I needed to take some time back for myself to almost recharge that creative, mental passion that I have for what I do. And people they're scared of being selfish. And I think that's a sad thing. Like, it's like, oh, I'm not allowed, I've always got to be serving others. Well, you can't serve someone else unless you're... Exactly. So, like, the first part of my day is about me. Like, I wake up, phone's off. What am I doing today? Why am I doing it? Right, now I might turn my phone on or put on the camera.
I've been doing that as well recently. Like yesterday, when I go to bed, I've been turning my phone on airplane mode. And yesterday I didn't come off airplane mode till like 2 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
Because
I just refreshing.
I just made myself a pot of coffee, had a bit of breakfast, and I knew I had a few things I needed to sort out. I was
trying to call you all morning.
That's every morning. That's
the reason.
That's the reason I tell you. Tori's like, what's Matt calling me? Okay,
it's 2 in the morning.
But no, it was like I kept sort of going back to my phone out of pure habit. And then seeing it was on airplane mode, I'm like, why? It's a Sunday morning. Like, I'm actually in a real flow with my work here. And then all I want to do is scroll through Instagram and see what's going on. So that's been probably one of the biggest things for me. And like going back to what you said earlier, like, social media is a great tool, but I used to be terrible for it. Like, spending 2 hours, 3 hours. Like, if you're going to post, you're going to be like efficient with it. Great. But sitting there 9 p.m. when you should be paying attention to your loved ones and what you're doing, and you're just double tapping away, and it's not an effective use of time at all, and it can become like
it's just kind of going on there to produce rather than just consume endlessly.
We're
all guilty for that.
And I think that's the biggest danger with social media in this day. So now I'm trying to be more like streamlined. Okay, this is the hour I'm going to post something here. I'm going to set up this post, and then I'm just going to leave it and not worry about it. And it's as sad as it is. It's the whole dopamine thing. Like, you post something, you want to see how many likes you got and how much traction it's gained and stuff. So I think
and you'll never not be able to do that because it's inherently hardwired into your physiology. But it's social status. Everyone looks to accumulate social status and power.
100%.
And that's inbuilt. So the moment people try and shy away from that, it's like money. Everyone is going to try and accumulate wealth because it equals a better life. So why are we shying away from that? I do want to earn more money. All four of us want to earn more money. And that's, we need to know when to turn off social media. I think I describe it as freedom. When my phone's on airplane mode, I'm like, I'm free to do whatever I want. Why do I need to be bound of whether I've got an email or whether I've got
your best ideas come when you're not close to that thing, like when that's on airplane mode.
Easily.
Like 100%. When do you ever sit there scrolling through Instagram and go, oh yeah, I've got a great idea for a new business? It's like, doesn't matter.
No. It's like what Joel said. Our friend Joel, who's launched this new app called Nutrifix, which is great, by the way. And he said,
Joel,
what is it? What does it do? Now I'm interested.
In a nutshell, so we'll show you after the podcast and stuff. But it's a bit like MyFitnessPal, but it basically locates restaurants and stuff nearby that fit your macros. So if you want something that's high fiber, it will say, this meal from Marks and Sparks over here is good. And then it's like a delivery option.
And it gives you a rating out of 100, so the higher the number, the more suited it is for you.
Specifically to your algorithm.
Yeah, so if you want
another plug there, Joel will
very good,
but he was going back to the original thing, he was saying be bored more. And I really like that. So when you're like commuting, when you're traveling, what I found now is actually from my house to the local train station is a 15-minute walk. And I actually really enjoy that walk. It's almost a bit like meditation for me, where I just let my mind sort of go off and I just imagine different scenarios. And it's like, I don't really meditate that much. I've given it a go every now and then, but it's not like the thing that I feel like I really need. But that for me is like when I've just been like, and then something will come into my head and I'll sort of make a note of it. So
but that is a form of, having chat to Ben, the naked professor, he was saying that as a form of meditation just because you're not actually sitting down and crossing your legs and going on. It's not walking can be a time for, to think about stuff, whatever. It's a time that is effectively meditation. So
I quite often bring that up when people feel tired. And they're like, did I not sleep last night? No, I slept pretty well. Okay, have I not eaten enough or the right food? No, I've done that. And I say to people, perhaps your brain's just tired. Perhaps it just wants to rest. And if you think we don't actually have many moments in our day anymore where you actually just do nothing, because social media and Facebook and everything has filled all those little gaps. So we're waiting for a bus, phone out, waiting for a train, phone out. So actually brain is constantly info, decision. How long can the brain sustain that for? So is that why loads of people get a dip in the afternoon? Because the brain's just like, fucking, you know that lunch break we used to have, can I have that back? Because you filled it with an hour of Facebook.
Yeah,
true. So true. It's something I noticed as well when I was going through my commute a while ago when I was commuting up from East Sussex, was coming onto trains or buses or whatever, going to the tube, and every time you step in, everyone's heads down, face glued into their phone or their device or something, and they miss out on so much stuff. And it's something I became more aware of, and I love having times when I just, I'm going to go away on holiday or something, and you just put your phone aside for a whole day, and you just enjoy the moment. You enjoy what's around you. Because as you said, I reckon it's actually, when you were saying 2 hours a day spent on a phone, I reckon actually that was an average, but I reckon some people spend 5, 6. It's crazy.
Fitness world and social media. I'm definitely more than 2 hours. I think I'll be the first. And imagine, I always think this. Imagine if you spend 2 hours practicing guitar.
Exactly.
Like that.
You'd still be shit. Man.
I've got like these fingers, so
still playing it upside down as well. Hitting it like a drum.
That's a violin. I'm trying to work this thing out for ages.
Get back in your phone, mate.
I'm back on Instagram.
So true.
Another thing I really want to talk about is your Tony Robbins experience. Very jealous of that. Because that was was that the end of your sort of bad phase?
It was. It came at the right time. It picked me up. It kind of re-inspired me. I was coming out of it, but I needed someone to literally grab me by the shoulders and be like, come on, help me bring that energy. And I didn't have the ability to do it all myself. And I'll fully admit that. And there wasn't a coach in my life at that point in time. I've got mentors that I kind of pick up the phone to, but nothing that intensive. So it came at the right time, and I'm actually meant to be with him on Wednesday. And I'm meant to be working at the UPW event. And I've talked about it on the podcast, but I've decided not to go. And it's kind of the same conversation that I feel that has served what it needed to serve me at that particular time.
I'll happily take your spot if you need, mate. We'll be bankrupt today.
Tony Robbins,
do one. And I just don't feel it's right anymore. I need to be in a different environment. And he is an incredible guy. He has an incredible message. And I think some of the stuff that he shares, people really need to hear and realise about themselves. So it got me to understand myself at an even deeper level. Like I'm a pretty intuitive, aware guy, but it just went deeper and deeper and deeper. And I really, really enjoyed that process. And I'll be honest, it took 24 hours to break down that wall. I thought I was walking into the room like fully accepting of everything that's going to happen and how this coach can help me. And actually I still held walls up that I didn't know of. And it wasn't until like 24 hours later I was like, fuck, I need to let go. I need to let go of everything. And it's letting your ego, it's the ego that gets in the way. I can do this. And I've signed up to a new coaching program at the moment. And I was sat in the room on Thursday and I was like, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. And I was like, hang on a second, do I? Do I actually? How about if I go through the process that the coach is asking me to go through? In every way he's asking me, I'll probably see some things that I haven't before. And I did, and I was missing 5-10%. And that's what most of us are looking for, like those 5-10% that we're not quite getting. So I promised myself that this 12-month program I'm going through, I will do everything that is asked of me. I will not let my ego get in the way in any way. And if some of your clients did that, it'd probably be bloody brilliant.
Trusting the process.
A few programs in the past, and I think every single one I've been like, I'm just going to change that bit out and make it more suitable for this as well. I think it's very much a male ego thing as well.
You've also got to ask, so in that situation, you've got to ask yourself, do you fully respect the opinion of that person? Like if you signed up to coaching with me, for example, and you're like, right, I really respect Ben and what he's doing, I'm going to do everything he's asked of. If you don't do that, you've got to self-reflect and say, why have I done that? Why have I made that action? Why do I feel I'm stepping over that line? And even if you do know the right thing, you've got to test it. You're not allowed to not test it. If someone tells you to do something, you need to test it to challenge yourself. Because otherwise you'll never know. You'll never find out the answer. And if that person is, in theory, more knowledgeable than you, then you have to respect that might be something you're not as strong as you think you are in.
So did you go into the experience with Tony Robbins as, with a completely open mind?
I thought I did.
You thought you did, and then you realised that maybe
there was 20% that was still sitting on the shelf, ego getting in the way.
Because I'd like to think that I've got a really open mind, but I'd like to see how deep the rabbit hole goes, sort of thing.
Yeah. So I remember you saying in one of the episodes that some people, like 10, 15% of people that were there, it just didn't affect them because they were probably quite closed-minded and they were like, "It's not going to have an effect on me." So, but I can imagine the amount that it's not cheap. And if I went into it, I'd just be like, literally, teach me everything. I want to try and be as open-minded as possible.
Have you seen the Netflix documentary about it?
There was.
Stuff? And it is like it is sort of. I don't know,
it's
like
very
it's
American.
built up. Yeah, it's very American. And like you do, like I can imagine someone going in there with the sort of attitude of just being stubborn. Be like, I'm not going to I'm not going to do this, and then just resisting for the sake of resisting, sort of thing. So it all depends on how. But then it's just a waste of $6,000, isn't it?
So would you recommend it?
Yeah, I would.
You would.
So I mean, I think it costs in the UK. He's running an event this week. I think it's like £900 for a ticket. I would recommend, depending on your mindset, of getting like a VIP ticket, one that's slightly more expensive. And I say that because the people that generally would go into that type of event at a general admission ticket are of a certain mindset. They're like, well, I can only just about afford that, or I'm not really sure if I want to do it. Whereas the people that have almost gone all in, I want to be shoulder to shoulder with. So some of the people that I met in that part of the event were incredible, like inspiring people. And I wouldn't have got that, like being a bit back where the people are just like hanging on by a thread. But most of the people that weren't able to let that environment fully affect them, didn't go all in. They had a real block in the way, like an ego, or they went with someone else and they had to be accountable or look after that person in some way, especially the couples. The couples were just stood there side by side like, oh, yeah, this is good information, isn't it? Yeah. And there's not many couples that are that honest and raw with themselves that they can be to that level of vulnerability. And you only change with that level of vulnerability.
Definitely.
Incredible. It's something I'd love to look into for sure. Big thing I want to know is, like, what does the future hold? Where do you want to go from here? What does 2018 have in store for you?
I want to keep doing what I'm doing, inspire more people. I've got a big string of books that I want to write. I want to keep having the podcast grow and grow and grow. I want to have my name a bit more in I'll call it the commercial space, like having a big book deal and that kind of stuff, because I know that I can help a lot more people. And I want to do big public speaking events because that's where I feel alive. Stage, 100 people or whatever in front of me. I love just seeing people's eyes open and going, I get it now. And there's not many people speaking in the nutrition space, I would say, in an inspirational way. I'd say that's the difference between me and other speakers, that I'm not just there talking about macros and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, why would you do it? What does it mean to you? Like, and just breaking down all those barriers of change. And I just love seeing those pennies dropping people.
Those light bulb moments.
Insane.
And any podcasts that you're listening to that our listeners could tune into? Any ones that you can recommend?
So I usually only follow like one or two people.
Okay.
I kind of get what I want and can from them, and then I move on. My current man crush is Jordan B. Peterson.
Okay.
Incredible guy. My big passion, and has been for a long time, is learning about human behaviour in the brain. I know a lot about food. Could I learn more? Yeah, but it's not really going to help me help anyone. What's going to help me is understand all the problems that people face every day. And if I can unlock those doors for people, then I can create great change. Ultimately, you guys know, I know, health and fitness is really simple. Eat good food most of the time, sleep properly, train intelligently. But people can't do it, so why? And it all comes down to self-limiting beliefs. I
was actually listening to a podcast with Dr. Carl Brent. Was that last week? Yeah. And he made a really interesting point that, since the 50s, we're actually eating the same amount of calories, but it's our lack of movement that's causing it. Do you think it's as simple as that? Like, I heard that stat and I was like, really?
It's not as simple as that, but it could be a massive, easy solution. Like, none of us move that much.
No.
You think, like, my granddad worked as a nurse in the war, literally would have been on his feet all day. Relentless. Literally 8 o'clock at night, all my feet hurt and sore, and want to eat all the food because he'd literally burned 2,500 calories just from walking.
That's so true.
None of us are doing that. Even you guys as personal trainers just stood on the spot half the day.
That's very true. And everything in the age of technology is built towards convenience, isn't it? So, even to the point now where it's more appealing to most to sit at home and watch TV because you've got 800 different channels to choose from. Whereas back in the day, you'd actually go out, go for a walk and stuff like that. So it makes perfect sense.
And even do a workout at home, but that takes away the
transport of getting to a gym, walking there. It's all those sort of things. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's convenience. That's the problem.
There's still got to be a want though for people. Right, you go into any tube station and stand in front of the stairs and the escalator, and 98% of people are taking the escalator, and it boggles my mind. I'm the only guy that's dancing up the stairs, and I'm literally like, I'm burning a calorie. Thank you. I'm just amazed.
So one time I wouldn't do that, and I made this mistake. It was at Covent Garden.
Oh,
so those steps, and it was this was a couple of years ago. So before girlfriend, I was going on a date, and I was like, I'm late. I need to take the stairs. It was taking ages. This elevator. Ran up the stairs, and I was in the biggest pool of sweat. I arrived, and I was like, at least I took the steps. But I was not in a good way.
There. Blue shirt came at the top.
Oh, mate, dark blue.
I sweat like that.
Straight away.
I can tell. I can see it. Right now.
I hear you. So what you got to do is just impress her with your step count.
Exactly. 30k to that. Yeah. We have one more question.
One final question, then. Yeah.
One final question, probably the biggest one, and probably the biggest question you'll ever have to answer.
Jesus.
Pretty huge.
So 3 of us here: Fred, Seb, Matt. Snog, marry, avoid.
Oh, what?
We've asked all our guests.
Every single guest. Yeah.
We've
built it up.
Right, I'll marry Matt because I reckon he's a good chef.
This is big now.
I'll snog Seb.
Oh, there we go.
He's pretty.
Go on then, explain it.
It'll make me cry. Look, I hope your voice, Fred.
I said that beforehand.
He's like, don't say that. I'll ruin my
What was the third option?
Avoid.
Avoid. Oh, sorry, Freddie.
I want to know the reasons.
Just because their attributes came to light. I suppose I'm not feeling what your guiding attribute is. And perhaps you're just not pretty enough to kiss for me. The big thing is you're taller than me.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
No one wants to...
I'd say that's the main reason.
It's just mainly because you're not a very good person.
Yeah, clearly. It's basically it's not gone down well at all.
And just before we go, mate, your socials, where can our listeners find out more about you, anything like that?
Yeah, Ben Coomber on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. My podcast is Ben Coomber Radio, which is #1 rated health and fitness podcast, over 5 years, lots of episodes. Otherwise, yeah, Ben Coomber. If anyone wants to reach out to me. I'm very friendly. That's it.
Awesome. Mate, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys, that's episode 41.
Out.
Whoa, just before you go, couple of things. Firstly, if you need my help at any point in time, reach out to my Facebook fan page, ask a question, and I'll get back to you. The reason I like my Facebook fan page is because I can send voice memos back, and it's really time efficient for me to be able to help as many people as possible. If you want to find out just anything I'm up to, keep abreast of social media, make sure you're on my email newsletter, and all of that info is at bencoomber.com. If you want nutrition education in the future, then have a look at the BTNacademy. That's our online nutrition courses. If you want to be coached by me, then join my 90-day body and mind transformation program, Fat Loss for Life. And if you're looking for clarity, honesty, simplicity, and research-proven supplements that taste awesome, then go to awesomesupplements.co.uk. That's my links. That's where to find me. That's where to find the cool stuff. I'm out. Have an awesome day.